The LEGO Lion Knight's castle with over 4,500 pieces and 22 minifigures. This is now the biggest castle LEGO have ever created. But is it worth that $400 price tag? Let's find out. So this set is in celebration of LEGO's 90th anniversary as a company. I really don't know how they're going to top this for their 100th year anniversary, but I guess subscribe to the channel and we'll find out in a decade or so. A grand total of 26 numbered bags, and it's split into 2 sections, each with its own instruction manual, making it perfect to build as a pair or to split up your build into multiple different sessions. I built this over the course of 2 live streams and a little bit of time sat on my own building as well, enjoying the build. About 8 hours total I would have probably estimated. And genuinely at no point of the build did it feel tedious or boring like many other LEGO sets can. Even my favourite LEGO set of all time, the UCS 8080 just there, felt tedious and boring at multiple different stages. However, this one was truly an enjoyable experience. As I mentioned before, there are 2 sections of this build which once created can be split apart and opened up like a doll's house, revealing a full interior or even an alternate way of displaying this set. There's the castle gate section which has the main towers and the more military side of the build, and then we do in fact have the city side of the build with the sort of bakeries and things like that and the more civilian part of the city, and that side is the side we're going to take a look at first. The tallest point is a small tower on the side with a fantastic design for a small Tudor building in white and black, which utilises some fantastic techniques for the walls and the roof. Below we have a towering castle wall which is consistent across the build and has just the right amount of detail. I love the design for the windows / arrow slits in this build, they're very unique. As I mentioned before, this section opens up like a doll's house, and once opened up you can see the water sort of flowing between the 2 sections. As you open up the build, you can also see one of the most fantastic utilizations of techniques that I've ever seen in a LEGO set, and that is where the balcony opens up and forms a hallway. It's a really well done technique, and I'm really happy with how LEGO managed to complete this. Coming down from the house with some small stairs leading into a small market square with a nice removable market stand. There's also a couple of steps up to some higher points on the wall to defend it with your archers. And now taking a look on the inside of the model, each side has 3 levels nicely fleshed out with a full interior. Beginning in the top right, we have a bedroom for the queen with a bed, rug and fireplace, and some green and yellow bunting above. There's a small table with a letter and quill. The room directly below is a banquet hall with some nicely designed table and chairs. The decorations on the table are really nice, and we see some fantastic shields on the wall. These are definitely cool throwbacks to old castle themes, as well as the new CMF figure that's just come in season 23. Below we have a bakery where the baker is hard at work. There's a nice feature where the water wheel can turn the grindstone to turn the wheat into flour. There's also a small bird's nest lodged in the rafters. Now the baker has his freshly ground flour. He can make his way over to the kitchen on the other side, where we find an oven, table, lots of kitchen utensils, and a staircase leading up to the courtyard in the back. Looking down this staircase from the outside, you can see the entrance to the kitchen and bakery with a small water butt using one of these new water pieces. I love the way this looks. As you come up from the kitchen and bakery, you can circle around and take the next staircase up, which leads to a small room with a harpsichord and fireplace, and a nice axe with some wood prepared to stoke the fire. The final room is a playroom for the children, featuring the original LEGO Lion Knight's castle in the yellow colour scheme. If this was accurate, LEGO would be currently celebrating their 790th anniversary. Outside we have some nice terrain wrapping around with some trees and plants and different flowers and foliage. Now moving on to the other side of the castle, this is where the fun really begins. You can see the wall techniques have continued across, and there's a ramp leading up to the entrance. The ramp is one of the weaker parts of the build, as you can't attach minifigures unless they're on these flat sections halfway up and at the top. But still, this ramp does the job, and I think it works relatively well, and it's actually the last point of the castle that you build. This brings us on to the second play feature with a working drawbridge. It can be lowered and raised with ease from the side and works seamlessly. Also, if any pesky intruders attempt to gain access to the castle, you can swiftly raise the drawbridge and drop them down straight into the dungeon, but more on the dungeon later. Behind the drawbridge there's a portcullis, which again is functioning and lowers and raises nicely with a small contraption on the top of the tower. LEGO did this really well, and I think it works perfectly. It makes quite a distinctive clicking sound, which again I think fits the vibe quite nicely, as if you're slowly raising this heavy portcullis up. To the side we have a nice build for a tree. The black colour is nice and unique and works as a nice change from the classic brown trees. It also matches nicely with the Forestman's Hideout gift with purchase set that came in July, as well as with this set. Speaking of the Forestman, there's also a hideout for those guys in this set built in behind this rock. You can just open it up, and it also allows access to another hidden feature, which is an escape route from the jail cell. Moving around to the other side, we have an underground and abandoned cave, a couple of bats in here, and above that there's a pathway leading straight from the marketplace through this nice entranceway. The wedge plates are used really nicely in this section as well as in the market to create a nice angle. The last side of the exterior features a nice dock with some steps using the snot technique. I really think this turned out nicely with the slopes on their sides, and we can see another play feature here with this gate / door that can drop down in a very satisfying manner to prevent ambushes from the marina. Also, if any enemies try and attack by sea, you can also drop rocks from the wall above. Before we open it up to the interior, here's a look at the roof/courtyard section where we have a few weapons racks and shields. Again, a nice nod to the past castle themes. You can also see 3 hanging chains which are part of the Drawbridge and Portcullis mechanism. Below we can see the entrance with a small area for a horse. The final level on this side is a dungeon which has 2 cells. One which has a prisoner who's definitely been in there too long, and the other which has the aforementioned escape route. If only there was an escape route on both sides for this poor prisoner. On the other side we have a small tower, and below we have a latrine or toilet with a very interesting detail from Lego, which we're not going to touch on too much. If you were to come up from the docks, you can see the stairs emerge here, and there's yet another armor rack on the side featuring more of the awesome Lego Lion Knights shields. And yes, these are all printed. There's not a single sticker in this set, which is definitely a relief for people like me who hate stickers. A ladder leads down to the dungeon below with a small hoard of treasure. I absolutely love how every single section of the build is actually accessible to each minifig. There's nothing that's sort of cut off apart from the towers, which is a bit of a shame. And that's the entire interior of the build, and damn, it's epic. The only thing missing for me is a throne room, but I might be working on adding that and a small access point to each of the towers soon in an upcoming video. Folding it back together allows for, in my opinion, the best way to display this set, and this is how personally I will be displaying it. But again, it has multiple different options. You can have it open from the back and show the interior, you can have it opened out, or you can have it closed, and I think it looks fantastic in all 3 of these different varieties. Now we've taken a good look at the build, let's take a look at the whopping 22 minifigures, animals and side builds. So firstly we're going to look at the faction that's occupying the castle, and this is the Lion Knights. You can see we get a ton of different minifigs, 10 in total, including 1 queen and 9 other knights and different forms of armymen. And yes, these torso and leg prints are branded new updated styles of the older versions of these figs. So beginning with the queen here, she's the most customizable fig. Here we have a breastplate on her. This is the one based on the actual instruction manual, but we can see we have tons of different details, a beautifully printed cape, and we also get 2 beautifully printed flags as well in this set. And these are really reminiscent of some older figures like the one you're seeing here with these really cool vibrant capes. And it's just something we don't see Lego do very often anymore. Now we can remove her hairprint and we can actually add this awesome helmet which actually has a gold visor which just looks fantastic. And removing the chest plate, you can see there's a really unique torso print here as well, which is different from all of the other Lion Knights. I really love this one, and it's a shame they kind of cover it up in the instructions. I think it's such a sweet torso piece and it's really nice and detailed. And if you get a second one of these, you could definitely use it for a king minifig as well. It doesn't look particularly gender specific. She obviously has this Princess Leia hairpiece as well as an alternate version with the crown embedded in it. Now of course she rides on her noble steed. We'll touch on the animals a bit later on as well, but we're seeing the return of the amazing horse armor pieces. These are meant to represent the cloths that they put over their horses, and they just look phenomenal. We also see one from the Black Falcons, which we'll touch on in a minute, but damn, I'm absolutely obsessed with how good these look, and I really hope these appear on Lego Bricks and Pieces so I can pick up a couple more. So we're going to go through these minifigs relatively quickly now because these are all very similar, but we have a knight here with a breastplate and also a cool helmet. Now she has a shield as well, and this is one of the 2 variants of shields that we see. I guess there's 3 versions if you count the unique one from the Queen. But then we have these guys with the round brimmed helmets. I absolutely love these, and I think this is such a cool return of this helmet. It was getting kind of expensive and I definitely have used it in my army a lot of times, so it's cool to see these return, and again hopefully these will appear on lego.com. I really love the front and back torso printing, and I think the blue and red are a really good mixture. And these guys have some alternate faces there which you can see. The one on the right is a bit weird, I don't know why she's asleep, but yeah, okay. And then we have another knight with a different helmet print. She also has another shield here which is the blue version of the shield. I'm not a big fan of this helmet here, but it's still a cool minifig nonetheless, and there's tons of other armor in this set that you can use to customize your figures however you like. These are just the ones that are made in the set. And again, she also has an alternate face print. Then we have 2 archers which are both awesome minifigs. The one on the right has the same head from the blacksmith, and the one on the left I believe has a brand new face. Only the one on the right has the alternate face print, but you can see a good look at their bow and arrows and quivers. Next up is one of my favourite knights, and that is the Bugler. He is awesome. He has a very unique face print. So on one side it looks very normal, but if we flip it around to the other side, you can see he has a very unique face. And then finally we have the 2 guys without the helmets. These guys are pretty basic. The one on the right has a hairpiece I really don't like, but is very fitting to the medieval era. And the one on the left looks a little younger and has a bit of a worried face on the back. Now moving on to some of my favourite knights, the Black Falcons. Now obviously we saw these guys appear in the Lego Medieval Blacksmith set as well as the 3-in-1 castle, which we will do a size comparison in a minute with. But these guys appear with different colour helmets in this one. They don't have the flat silver helmets, they have the black helmets, looking a bit more like their old-fashioned counterparts. We firstly have this guy who's sort of got like a walking stick and a very heavy backpack with a flag on the side and a bucket on the other side. This is a very cool backpack build, and he has some really cool faces. The one on the other side makes him look very young though. I don't know what's going on with this one, but the one on the front with the more expressive face is very awesome. Then we have this flag bearer. She has a cool pole with a flag on it. And then finally we have this awesome knight. He is pretty awesome. Doesn't have any shoulder pauldrons or any armor, but he has a cool black sword and a Black Falcon shield. And his main face print is a bit weird. I'm not sure about this smile. It kind of looks a bit off to the side and a bit weird. But the other one is even more expressive and he's almost uncontrollably chuckling. You can see we also have the other Black Falcon horse armor here. This is just so beautiful. I really love the way they've done this, and this is the first time they've actually done it for the Black Falcon Legion, and it's awesome to see them fitting these onto the new horses. Both of these together look absolutely amazing, and again, I would love to buy more of these. Next we have the Wizard minifig. He doesn't have any printing on the front or the back, and he's very plain, but he does come with the Santa Claus head, which is kind of cool, and a cool staff. Now the next group is the family of Forestmen. We do get a male, a female, and a child here. These are pretty awesome. Again, just the same figs from the Forestman hideout with different faces and stuff like that, but I really love their Robin Hood style hats. Then we have 4 Townsfolk. I really love the fact that LEGO are making these. We definitely haven't got enough regular LEGO medieval minifigs. First you have the small child. He has a reused torso print from the Fiddler from the last season of CMFs, so it kind of looks like he's got his very own son now. Next, this female minifig is awesome. I really love her new custom headpiece, and I just love the printing on the torso as well. And then we have a farmer. Not a new head on this guy, but he does in fact have a cool blue hat, which is again from the Fiddler minifig, and a cool torso print as well. The baker is probably the most disappointing of the 4 for me. He just has the same torso and leg print as the guy from the medieval blacksmith. He has a cool hairpiece, but again the face is exactly the same as the one from the Fiddler, although this exact combination of hair and headpiece looks exactly like my friend Droid. Overall, that's a huge lineup of minifigs. I would have maybe liked to see less reused torso prints, but I think overall it's pretty good. We can't really complain too much, and there's just such a vast array of minifigs in this set. It's really fantastic. Moving on to the animals and side builds, we do have a cow pulling this cart right here. This is a cool build and it has some different straw pieces in the back and a little bird on top. Next side build is this small barrel, which is actually one of the first things you build and I think came together really nicely. And then we do have the 2 horses here as well without their armor on. Now here you can see a comparison between the most recent castle, which is my very dusty 3-in-1 castle, next to this brand new Lion Knights castle. You can see it's quite considerably bigger, more detailed, and much nicer to look at in general. So that is the full LEGO Lion Knights castle. Is it worth $400? I think it's a resounding yes. It's a fun build process that didn't once feel boring or tedious. It has a vast array of minifigures. The only one that might be missing is the king. However, it looks amazing on display as well, and that's why I would give this about as close to a 10 out of 10 as I could possibly give it. The king and maybe the ramp at the front is the only things that maybe would take away from it, so possibly maybe closer to a 9.8 or something like that, but really this set is phenomenal. But what do you think after seeing this review? I'd love to hear your feedback in the comment section down below, but thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we do have another castle video coming up very soon, which is the 5 improvements, as I mentioned before, for this castle, which will be the mods video where I make modifications and improve the castle in 5 different easy ways that you guys can also do. Now with that being said, why not go and check out this video right here, which is actually my own castle that I designed earlier this year. There's even a build series to go along with it, so why not go over and binge some of my other castle content. So I will see you guys over there. Goodbye.